What's up? It's Tommy Green. You're listening to the Rev Talks podcast, brought to you by the Rev Gatherings, digital tribe of up-and-comers, emerging leaders, doing our best to keep in step as the face of the church changes in our generation. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome home. If you are a returning visitor, hiya. Feel free to subscribe, share it around, give us a 5-star review. Tell somebody. If you like what you hear, please let us know. You can reach out to us at therevgatherings.com. Feel free to email us at therevgatherings@gmail.com. Hope you enjoy the episode. See you on the other side. Okay. Oh my gosh. My good friend, Stevis. Hello, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is, truth be told, this is the first conversation we're ever having on the Rev Talks podcast. So I just want to talk about life and stuff. And I'm so grateful. Okay, so you're going on tour tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tell me about, okay, how about this? Rewind. Tell me about becoming part of your band. Because you talked to me and Johnny G, who's going to be like the co-host of this thing, and Ruckus, about kind of the Fever and how that all started. So like recap it for me a little bit, like just the session and getting invited in, and then kind of bring me up to speed, because I think we left off a little bit, especially it was in the midst of this was a couple years ago, and we're still in the thick of it, man. Like we're one day after Martin Luther King Jr.'s amazing day, like a total hero, and we left off talking a little bit about God, just, I mean, I think that's part of why the band exists, right? It's sort of diagnosing something that's going on. So catch us up with like kind of what is going on with the Fever, because you're post the Chariot, and then what happened? Like bring people up to date.
Yeah, so Chariot broke up in 2013, and I spent the end of 2013 to like 2015 very lost, very confused, didn't know what I was going to do with my life, which is just bouncing from job to job to job. And then I ended up working for a TV station called Bounce TV, which is like, it's probably on.
What shows, bro? What shows are on Bounce?
Like Bounce was like all of the like reject black shows. So like we got like, and I say reject because it's not reject. It's just like, if you ever watch like Black UPN, it's some of those shows. So we have like some of the older kind of like, I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago. Like there's some original programming, but we also have like, Cosby Show, which was kind of controversial at the time. He decided to like scoop up the Cosby Show, considering, because that was like at the height of like his situation.
Oh man.
So that was a little awkward, to say the least.
Sure.
And my position, I had nothing to do with any. My job was literally like, if you go on Netflix and you see a movie and like you have the scroll bar and there's an image of the movie, my job was to make that image and make sure it appears on the website.
You're like the thumbnail guy.
I'm thumbnail guy, and I'm like, and I put the actual content up on the site. So like make sure links work when you click it, it's the right movie, this and that. So that was my job post or pre-Fever.
Whoa. Okay. So you're working at a TV station. You're at Bounce.
Yeah. Cubicle, whole deal. Like
Cliff Huxtable crew.
Straight up.
Controversial Cliff. That's
straight up.
Okay.
So that was me. And then I'm sitting in my cubicle and Jason texts me. He's like, "Hey man, you still trying to do music?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes." And I'm thinking he's probably going to ask me to help out with Let Live or something, because he asked me to fill in for them before, but he was explaining, he's like, "Yeah, I got this thing I'm doing called The Fever, and I'm working with John Feldman and Travis Barker and writing songs, and, we want to like get this thing moving." And I was like, "Yeah." So he sent me some songs. I think he sent me 2 or 3. I think I liked one and a half of them. I like
Sure.
wasn't totally sold. So I was like, okay, but it's Jason and I have a lot of faith in him and like I'll come out and see what it's about. So I learned the songs and I stayed with Dan from that band The Greenery.
Mm-hmm.
And we just hung out and I was like, hey man, like if this band is whack, like you should join. And he was like, okay. So I just stayed with him and like he was kind of just really supportive. And then Jason and Eric picked me up in Long Beach, which is where Dan lived, and drove us to Calabasas, which is where um, John and Travis live. I'd never been to Calabasas. I'd only met Eric kind of like a little bit in London when we played a show together. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was the first time we were all together. And I just learned the songs on my own. So it was in the car going to Calabasas to kind of like play together to see the chemistry and how it worked. Um,
Well,
yeah.
okay.
So we performed the songs for the first time in front of like an audience of like 12 people. Like it felt very kind of like boy bandish initially,
Okay, like a
you
super
know,
group, like super group, like they're putting it together. Okay.
kinda like it was Jason's idea. Like this whole thing is like, Jason's like, I want us to start a band that's down with talking about these things that I feel like matter. And like, because that was part of his issue with Let Live is like the subject matter, not everyone saw eye to eye. So it just kind of fell apart because the lyrical content is very similar to Let Live. And Let Live, he talked about a lot of this stuff, mostly, and has been for years. But
Mm-hmm.
like it got to a point where like it was clashing with maybe some of the other bands' views.
Sure.
And instead of just trying to water it down or force it, he just said, this isn't for me right now. So he started another project and he's like, well, I'm going to hit Stevis because we'd already talked about making music years ago. He and I, we'd been talking for a long time. And then Eric, he was actually in Let Live for a while. So it just made sense. Um, so we go to Calabasas, rip these songs in front of just like, and John Feldman's studio, his massive just place. And I just felt like an alien in there, like just driving by like the Kardashians' house and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, getting John Medusa with Drake, and then you're gonna go like shred and slam some guitar into the wall. Great,
Totally,
great, awesome.
totally. So it went well, and I guess really just we just kept playing and like having conversations with each other, like, hey, so what do you guys think? This is where we're at. Like, I feel like this is what I want this band to be. I want it to stand for this. I want it to feel like this. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like maybe you don't see things like this, I love you. It's all good, but this is kind of just where I want it to be. And we had like a number of talks about it, and we all see eye to eye on just about everything politically. I think the
Sure.
things we don't see eye to eye on are fine. They're not like you can't. I don't support you kind of stuff. It's just kind of different ways of growing up, more so than anything. But so yeah, we just kept kind of grinding away. I stayed in LA for some months, kind of getting the band, help get the band off the ground, and just playing shows. And now we're here. I don't know what happened.
Yo, that's what. So okay, so for people that would haven't actually listened to the band yet, right? Like they haven't checked anything out or they've never seen you. What do you
Yeah.
feel like is like the number? What's the most important thing that you feel like is in kind of the DNA of the band in this season of life? Like, who are you speaking to? What are you guys trying to say?
We are speaking to people who feel like perhaps they don't have a space or a place or someone that they can look up to musically that makes them feel comfortable or represented. That's in any way. That's if you like heavy music, but you are kind of weird about going to shows because sometimes you can be kind of like a super overbearing male kind of presence. It's
Oh,
too
sure.
like
Yeah.
moshy. It's too like like if you feel like maybe you have a very political standpoint, you hold your bands to a standard, and perhaps like going to shows like you don't feel comfortable speaking up about it, whatever side that is, you are welcome here. If you feel sort of like disenfranchised in any way and just need someone to speak about it in a four walls that isn't your school or your work, then please feel free to come here. And that's what this is about. It's not, this isn't about pushing a political agenda. We do speak about what we believe in politically, but that's not the goal of our shows. The goal of our shows is to bring people together and to get everyone in a space to where we can at least have a conversation about issues, whether they be political or not, and walk away knowing more so that we can achieve that. It's not even about really changing minds, because end of the day, we're not all going to believe the same things. That's like, especially when it comes to this climate, man, it's like, it's not possible. Like a utopian society is not. So, but what we do need is empathy. And what we do need is understanding. So at our shows, if you come to see us headline, it's just us. We're the only band that plays. We allot time and hope put signs up around the venue to encourage conversation, to encourage that you meet your neighbor, because that's the start of any world change. It starts in your neighborhood. Meet your neighbor, speak to each other, make a friend. You know, we play for an hour and 20, and then afterwards I sit on the edge of the stage and I speak to everyone in the room.
You just talk.
I just talk.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. Okay.
So that's it.
Okay, so then it's super powerful. Okay, so for you, what's something that you feel like has, okay, and this may be an interesting question, but I was at a spot a while ago. It was actually a church in Nashville, and there was this guy that was talking, and he was talking about taking communion, and he said he believes that the table of the Lord, right, like communion, is this space where it's almost like the great leveler. And he's like, because who gets to come to the table? It's not up to me, and it's not up to you, because it's not your table. It's his table. So everyone can come to the table. Mm-hmm. And there was a lady there, and she said this phrase, and it stuck with me for a while. She said, I feel understood. I feel understood by you. And so I'm wondering for you, coming from maybe one expression of, for me, like the Chariot and our time on tour together, you guys were always my favorite. Like, it was my favorite. The dynamic of just feeling like it's hardcore scene. It's a culture I love, but it just finally felt like really punk rock watching you guys. Like, it's just so much fun. So coming from that expression, which I talked to Josh like on the phone, and at some point he's probably going to talk with me, even though he like hates doing this stuff. I'll talk to him about that. But like going from an expression that was one way into this, where do you feel like you feel more understood now being in the Fever than you did in the Chariot?
That's a great question.
Bro, I'm just wondering like where you've grown. I mean, you can go anywhere with it, but where do you feel like you've grown the most? Where do you feel like you've gotten more permission to be yourself, right? If you're trying to just empower people, do you feel like you've gotten to discover new parts of who you actually are?
I feel like both bands reflect an organic version of me. Like when I was 17 to 23, the Chariot was the band for me, because that was the way I could express myself organically. That was me in those years, because that was what my energy looked like. That's what that was like my natural outcry. Those performances were like, that was it.
Yeah.
And with Fever, it feels the same. It just doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
You know, because as I got older and my body changed, and like all sorts of different stuff, like it just looks different. It feels the same on stage. It looks different, and I'm able to convey things differently. Like the music of the Chariot really, the music of the Fever doesn't call for the show that the Chariot had. It's like this, like the
it's a
Chariot was
different thing.
it was so metaphorical, and there's so many different ways that kind of Josh presented a message, whereas this message is so straightforward.
Yeah.
I think what matters, what means more than me just strictly thrashing, is me looking at people in the crowd and just speaking to them during a show. Like
Wow.
that gets the message across more than me like hanging upside down on the rafters, like in a Chariot,
Mm, that's powerful. That's powerful. Okay. So the Fever right now. So how about this? What's been the most surreal experience you've had since joining the Fever? Because in a lot of ways it is like, it was a big level up. I remember you were in, was it Fault? What was the two-piece that you were in?
Fault, yeah. Which,
Okay.
by the way, we're still gonna do that.
Yes. Okay. So you're in this like you're doing these other projects, but then it's like all of a sudden you're with, I mean, Travis Barker, most people would know his name. He does all sorts of different projects with the Cholo Goth guys and Blink and I mean, he's doing his own stuff. So all of a sudden you're there. So already that's a different universe. But didn't you do stuff with like, just give me one thing where you felt like, wow, it's really cool. I don't think that you as a human are not an insincere or fake human. So like anything cool that happens for you, I feel like this is incredible. Couldn't happen to a better dude. So give me the most surreal, like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening right now. That's just for you, where you're like, no way.
Well, I'm just gonna backpedal real quick. Me and Robbie are still doing that band. It's called Prepare to Meet Thy God, and it's coming out this year, and it's gonna be really sick.
That was so epic. Okay.
But the phone call I got saying that we were nominated for a Grammy was ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
That was like, I was in bed, not doing so well, and I got a call from John Feldman. Like, I was like, it was like 7 in the morning or 6.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hello? He's like, Grammy nominated. I was like, who? You're Grammy nominated.
Yes.
I was like, please don't say that if it's not for sure.
Yo.
It's way too early. I'm not in the right place right now. Like, if that, he's like, that's it. Like, it's congratulations. I was like, what? Like, it's just silly, just so silly. And I specifically want to say the phone call because the actual Grammys themselves were whack. But
okay, tell me about it. I've only talked to like Jake. So Jake from ABR, I feel like when August Burns Red, they got trapped in like an elevator and had to like take a fire truck there. Like they had a weird Grammys experience. So he's my only guy that I know that's like been in that kind of space. Yeah. But like, why was it? What was it like for you guys?
Well, first of all, there's 2 different buildings for the Grammys. So like all the cool awards that people care about and watch TV are in one building. And then like all the rockers are in another building.
Yes.
So we were in that building with like High on Fire and like Under Oath and Bring Me. It's like, and the room is like half empty. It's all spaced out and awkward. But like, that's a cool room. So we were in there and like, we pulled up in a cop car with the lights going off. Naturally. Style and walk the red carpet, and the red carpet was kind of cool, I will say, because it gave us an opportunity to speak to a lot of people about what we're about. And I think a lot of people were kind of just like taken off guard by that because we're not just like, yeah, man, we're here for the music, like, like we're not just generic whack, like self-serving answers. It's like none of us ever cared to be here, to be honest.
Yeah.
But since we're here, we want to, talk about something real and not just how hard we work to come to like. You come from the same world we come from. So I mean, like that's not a goal going to the Grammys, So it's like we're there, and it's like
it's awesome.
But yeah, so then they eventually moved you to the big room. like after they've said all of those awards, and it's just boring. It's just not sick. It's like our drummer posted a video of me asleep yesterday. It's just whack. It's just like you see all the stars, which is whatever, they're walking around, and it's just made for TV. It's not made for an event for the people there.
Oh yeah. So it is okay. It's a good way to say it. It really is made for TV. It's made for the viewers. Like participants are sitting at tables for hours, just chilling.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Cool. And I have like a little hold on, actually it's right here. If you don't win the Grammy, they give you this medal. Basically a runners up. Like you tried.
That's what it says. It says you tried.
If it said you tried, I'd wear it everywhere.
It's so sick.
So stupid.
That's awesome. Okay, so you're rolling now. Where does your tour go? And then who are you with? It's just you guys the whole time? Are you with anybody else? Is it all?
Just us. Japan. It's 3 shows in Japan, 1 show in Malaysia, and 1 show in India. And one of the shows in Japan is a festival with oh man, that band Cold Rain is playing. They're a Japanese band. And then another, Crystal Lake, I think, is playing. Who they're really good. And then a festival in India with like Diplo.
Yes.
And Machine Gun Kelly.
Yes, bro. You could, yes. Okay.
So, yeah,
I think Joshy hung out with him when they were in Denver, and he said that was a riot. Like the dude's always on. So that was crazy. I can believe it for sure. Okay, so here's something I'm kind of intrigued in. In your journey, now looking at what you've seen, because I think when you get in a band, in general, your world gets pretty big over time anyway. Like your whole, your microcosm of one neighborhood or one little group or high school, whatever, it like blows up, and then you've gone everywhere. And I think that for a lot of the dudes that we grew up around, I think it did wonders for their soul. And then I think if their faith was small, meaning it was limited to the best that the people around them could do. It wasn't all encompassing. It wasn't human. It was whatever that thing. It feels like it blows people up. Mm-hmm. So being in a space that I feel like you guys cover like a lot of ground. Who is Jesus to you right now? And like, what does your faith feel like? How do you really feel like your faith is expressed from where you're seated now?
Yeah. Jesus to me feels a lot like how Jesus has always felt to me. It's a daily sort of like presence that it's undeniable. Like that's something that I feel like I got Alex McWilliam?
I don't. Oh, yes, I do. I totally do. Yes.
Yeah. He's like, that's my guy. And we were talking about this not too long ago, but like, I'm not going to say who it was, but I had a friend who was on a podcast and he's a Christian, and they just tore him. It wasn't a podcast. It was an interview, like a radio interview. And they just tore him up, man. Like they just really just like took stabs at his faith and like, just like tried to make him feel stupid. And I'm just not that guy. It's just like, dude, this music world is super weird for sure. Like they'll like, you know what I mean? Like it's designed to break you unless you're smart enough and held down enough to like stand your ground. Cause it's real. Like it even gets weird with us. Like when we were coming up with like promoters and things like that, just being weird. Like it's like that times.
Okay, so give me an example. Help me see behind the curtain. So give me like in one, not people or anything, but like this is what it was like at this level. This is almost what I feel like I'm watching here.
Oh man, it's so hard to explain. It's like I feel like to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I could say it on here
Yeah,
because
that's fine. That's totally fine.
it's
That's just wild. So
you
what you're saying is though that the pressure of, is it
the
being a performer? Is it being in a band? Is it money or is it power? Like what is it that you feel like is
it,
the threat?
it, it's not a performer because I have the most faith in that. Like, and it's not being in a band. It's money,
Mm,
perceived money, potential money, and power for sure.
wow.
Those things eat people. And it's like, I don't know, because like in punk rock and hardcore, you can go to a show and like the crowd's going off and it's like the band's going off and it's cool. But then you ever gone to like a big concert and like a band is playing for like 10,000 plus people? You're like, why are they like bored? They look angry. It's because they are angry, dude. It's because
Yeah.
they are beaten down. It's because some of these deals are insane. And some of the people who um, are in control of some of these bands are taking full advantage in a
Wow.
way that they can't just break out. So it's a war out there, but you just have to be smart enough to like, stand your ground, have people at home to hold you down. And
Mm,
luckily for me, like I've got my family, my girlfriend, like everyone's got my back, so
wow. What's it, give me an example of like when's the last time that you feel like you had a really good, maybe like an encounter or conversation like with Jesus that you really felt like connected with? I say to people, there's been a lot, like Chrissy and I have gone through a ton in the last couple of years, and I feel like it's gone from the place where I would say I'm better for Jesus weekly than I am daily. Like I feel like there was a long time where I'm like, I don't know how to talk right now. But I felt like I'd bump into him in the hallway and be like,
yeah.
hey, I love you. I get it. I gotta, but I'd have an encounter with him weekly. But I was like not disciplined. It wasn't anything like that. It was more like I feel like I'm better for him like normally because I don't know what the rules are anymore at this point. So
That's interesting.
okay, so tell me about what that's like for you. What the last time you said you really felt like, man, I feel his presence in a tangible way. What was he saying or what was he communicating to you?
It's so wild because I do feel like that kind of weekly thing sometimes, but my thing as of, I don't want to say lately because it's been a while now, is just sort of trying to give thanks always, like
Mm,
even in the valley, even when I'm happy, even when because ultimately it's all the same.
wow.
All of these things are the same. That's what I feel like I'm trying to like hone into, but it's so hard. It's like Instagram comments. If you have a band, it's like
Mhm.
you have all these good comments and then you have some bad ones, and it's like the bad ones weigh heavy, the good ones make you feel good, but it's not real. They're not real. None of it's real. The good, the bad, it's irrelevant. They're just there. It doesn't matter. In life, it's like the perceived good that happens in our life, the perceived bad, that's not really what it is. We're just people. That's just how our flesh reacts to things. To
Mm,
God, these are just events until you get there. You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's
Wow.
like ultimately, like all pain is temporary. All of it. All of it is. So it's like, what are we? It's like I'm a human being. I'm just a man. Like I get affected by this stuff hard. Like
Yeah.
some of the stuff hits me and I just sit in it. But it's like ultimately it's like, man, like it's like those quotes that it's like, remember when you prayed for what you have right now? It's
Yo. Yep.
like, what are you upset about? You're upset about,
Mhm.
you think maybe you're not getting what you deserve in this area, or this guy made you upset, or this. It's like, dude, remember when you lived in Matt Goldman's studio?
I know,
What
bro.
are you upset about? I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of you. I always have. I've never not. Have I? No. Why are we tripping?
Hmm.
Like I was talking to my girlfriend last night and we were talking about band issues, actually, just like some band stuff that I was stressed out about. And I said, why am I even worried about it? Like, why am I even giving it my energy? It's going to be cool. She's like, you're right. Why are you giving it? Like, you're right. And I was like, oh no, I was actually talking about something else. But no, you're right. I should
You're
have
right
that
too.
mentality for the band. You're right. But that's what I mean. Like my last sort of real kind of I hear you Jesus moment was last summer, and it's a lesson that I learned that I've been like putting into play, trying to every
What
day.
was that?
That lesson is like, it's kind of like, it doesn't really, it's different from what we were just talking about. But when I'm on tour, I come home, after I come home from tour, I'm so physically and emotionally exhausted just from speaking to so many people after shows and like ripping these shows as hard as I can physically, that I'm just tired. Like I'm emotionally, I've just given so much, you know, like, and I'm poured into as well. So it's not just like that, but it's tiring. So I get home and I'm tired and I'm just lazy for like, until I leave, like until the day. And it's easy because, you know, it's like, I feel like I've done my work. Like that was my work. I'm home. I don't have to do anything and I haven't invested in anything. I can be calm and relax and not do anything. But that's when I realized that my life was like kind of stagnant. And when life is stagnant, life's not supposed to be stagnant ever. And that's when I felt like I was getting frustrated with things. And that's when I felt like I was like irritable and like my downtime was becoming like just down, like toxically stagnant. You know, it just wasn't good. You know? And basically I felt Jesus tell me to keep working. Like you're not like keep work, like keep your mind, like I didn't make you creative for nothing. Like,
wow,
please keep writing. Like now we have like December to July, basically off with the exception of this tour we're about to do, which is a short one. It's just like I've got like 3.5 bands I'm writing for right now. Like that are projects like keep my mind active, like keep like don't stop working because I didn't make you to stop working, to stop, like not yet, you know. I've come to realize that when I honor that, he honors me. It's like I feel like when I am working, it's not that I'm just like working for myself, because I don't see money from these other things I'm doing. It's not about money. This is strictly about doing what he put me here to do.
Creating, giving, flowing, that thing. Like if you're like a river, you're born of the Spirit. You got to keep it going.
Absolutely. Okay. So this is not about money for me. This is just like, what do you do? Like you've been home for 2 weeks and you have left your apartment 3 times. You know? It's like, it's that kind of, because I mean, it's that bad sometimes. Like I'm home a lot, you know?
Okay. So what is that? So, but I also know you. So like, where else do you find your, just normal day-to-day stuff? Do you struggle with anxiety? Do you struggle, is it like, where do you find yourself kind of like wanting to stay away from people?
I used to struggle with social anxiety really bad, but I think it's getting better.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you're just like engaging with people and stuff, like when did it start shifting?
When did it start getting better?
Yeah.
It got better when I started going to like my girlfriend's work gatherings. Because like before, there'd be nothing you could do to get me to go to any of those.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the best, and her like her friends at her job are cool too, to be honest. But I'm such like, I don't know what my problem is. It's whatever, but like I go into her work sometimes almost as if like I gotta just like duck, see her, tell her come on, we leave. Like I'm just weird. I don't know why, but one day I kind of just like sarcastically was just like, because sometimes on Fridays, her and her friends at work, they'll have kind of like an after work kind of hangout, chill thing. They have like a lounge they built, and I just showed up and like didn't tell her, and she was like,
"What are you doing here?
I'm here.
You're at happy hour. What is going on?" And you're
right, and I just sat down with everyone and just talked, but almost like was being sarcastic, almost like
put it on, like, hey,
exactly. I was putting it on, but it worked. It really did make me feel like I can do this for real, probably, you know? And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
after that, like I don't go like all the time, but like I go now and it's way easier. Like I really just kind of needed to like just put myself there in a weird way. Like I wasn't like a hype myself thing of like, okay, I'm gonna go, stay for 15 minutes. It's like, whatever, dude, just go and make a joke of it. Like we joked about me sitting down and just be like, I'd like to make a toast, everyone. Thank you. Here's to life and blah blah. Obviously, but like just going in as like a different person almost. But we just had like a holiday party thing we went to the other day. Painless. Those used to be painful. Those used to be so hard for me because I'm bad at faking like I want to be somewhere that I don't. And I was like, you know, but this was cool. Like I know a couple of them pretty well now, and like it was fine. Like I'm like, okay, like that was for sure like a successful like social moment for me. I think we walked away from that party like, she's like, you did good. I was like, thanks. You know, like it was cool.
That's awesome. Oh, okay. So thinking about that, like, so when you're on tour and you're looking at people, you're on, right? Like in a lot of ways. So you also choose to be on to make connection. Who's someone that you've met at a Fever show that surprised the hell out of you, where you were just like, did not see that coming? That was one of the most profound experiences. Tell me about a diamond in the rough, or tell me about I did not think that case in point, on the Finished People tour with Sleeping Giant, I do the song, we get done with our set, hanging out, praying for people are coming up. At the end, this like very prim and proper, like 20-something, looked like a frat, like blonde American Southern college girl, came up to me and told me her mom was doing something like 22 years and she hadn't spoken to her for like 5 or 6 years, and she was super like compelled to like reach back out to her mom. Not the prison story that I thought I was going to get from so-and-so. That was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, like the streets are just a decision or two away for but anyway, so for you, like you're on stage, you're there, maybe a Fever fan looks one way or they sound a certain way. Tell me about a time when you saw someone that you didn't think you were going to see.
Oh man, I mean all the time. Like that's a regular occurrence because I feel like every new band struggles with who their audience is, and we've grown to realize our shows are just full of families. Mom, dad, kid. Like that is our demographic. Full families come to Fever shows because it's just one band, so it's not an all-night ordeal. And it's like we got slow songs, we got fast songs, we got heavy songs, we got not heavy songs, and we're very family friendly. We're all about family. We're all about unity. We have a very positive message. So I feel like families feel like they can be there without feeling like they're going to get moshed out, you know?
Wow.
So that
the Fever's for the family.
We're for the family. Bring the whole family. No one's going to mosh you out. I can count on one hand how many stage divers we have per tour. We're not a stage divey kind of band, so you're safe.
Dude, you're safe. Bring them. Hey, tell Cameron and little Rebecca, they can come.
They can come.
I'll give them a shirt, bro. They can wear the little hat. Dude, they'll carry a flag and a sign. We get bring your little volunteers. Come on down.
It's over at 9. Okay.
It's over at 9. The movement's over at 9. You can get them in bed. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, there's this dude who in California, I have a super sick photo of him that our photographer took. We played with Alice in Chains and Korn.
Yeah.
And but we opened that tour, so we played dumb early. So like we were playing these massive amphitheaters that had like maybe 500 people like scattered throughout the entire thing, so it looks weird. But by the last song, it kind of starts to fill out, and like at the last song, I go like out in the crowd and I like walk out in the crowd, and I hear this dude. He's like, "Stevis, yeah, dude, yes." yes, do it, like stoked, like so amped, like he's like watching like his favorite college sports team, and I hear, but I can't see him. And like the song is over and I turn around and he's there running from security, trying to get to me. He's like this tall, kind of like, sort of like a college looking kid. And it's just amped and it's like evading security, trying to get to me. Like, whoa, chill, he's good. Comes over to me, gives me the biggest hug. And he was like, dude, I just came here to see you guys, man. I drove all the way from, I can't remember where he said he's from, but he's like, I just came here to see you guys, and I'm so glad. That was amazing. Like, the amount of like support I heard in that guy's voice while we were playing was like nothing else. And I remembered where I met him from was from another California show, and he spoke to me. He's like, dude, I used to be just by default a Trump supporter, just because like that was the people around me. I started thinking for myself. I kind of stepped away, and my eyes are open to a lot of other things now, like he's like, I think a lot of that stuff is really stupid and ignorant, but like through the help of your band and some people I've met and stepping away from sort of the people immediately around me and like just stop kind of just subscribing to what they believe just off of my environment.
Taking everyone else's word for whatever. Sure.
He's like, my horizons are broadening. I'm seeing a lot of other things kind of differently now. And all that to say, it's like, it's not about supporting Trump. That's not like,
what do you hear?
Like, my thing is he felt the band helped him open his eyes to more. And that's regardless of what you believe. It's not about like an evil versus a not evil. This is like, all right, this kid was kind of surrounded by one sort of way of thinking, and the band helped him, kind of open his eyes to more. That's all I can ask for, because I'll never get a whole world with the same view. I just want people to see the facts, be able to at least have a conversation. This guy, like, he hugged me, thanked me, whatever. Fast forward to the Alice in Chains Corn show, and he's screaming like just like there. I mean, he's like there for no one's there for Fever at a Corn Alice in Chains show.
Yeah, sure.
No one. But this dude's running from security
to get
like
there.
To get there, to show his appreciation. Like, yo, I came back, man. Like that was like massive. But I get. That's what I mean when I say I'm poured into as well on tour. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, that keeps me going.
Well, I'm just stoked to hear. I mean, I like the fact that Chrissy is not my Chrissy Green is like she's more of an intro. Like, I love a whole room, and she loves one person at a time, and that's how she's wired. And so, but she was a manager at like Starbucks, whatever, like years ago. And when she'd have to do interviews, with people, she would pretend to be this other employee that was like really good at talking to people. And she modeled it for me once. And I was like, what would you do? And she's like, so tell me about a time. And I was like, whoa, don't do it. I don't want to see that. I'm not married to that person. I don't like, but that's how she'd have to conduct herself. So, but then I think about going to, Tony Robbins once, and I walked on fire. That was crazy. But he said, if you want to change the way you feel, he would say, change your physiology, change your body, he'd say, change, if you want to change your state, change your physiology, I guess. So he'd make people, like, if you feel like, he'd make them jump up and down. And then it's like kind of impossible to like, it's like, what's his book? Daniel Tosh saying, like, it's really bummed to be, it's impossible to be sad on a wave runner because you're just like too happy, like
totally.
So I think for you to go, I'm going to put on excitement, and I'm going to try to like push my band. I think that's super brilliant, more so than you realize. And I bet you might, with that kind of stuff, right? Like, one person that struggles maybe with social anxiety to another, like a fan, you putting that on might actually save someone's life, right? Like they go, I'm so glad you talked to me. I don't know why you would do, you know what I mean? And then you get to heal a bit, right? Like in that.
For sure.
It's powerful, bro.
I just like to talk to people real, like for real. Cause everyone's had that like band guy, like, thanks kid, kind of like, like that doesn't do anything for anybody, You know, like I just like
Thanks, man. We've worked really hard to be here.
thanks, man. Appreciate it. And all right. Long live, buddy. Take it easy. It does nothing. It doesn't do anything.
That's so awesome.
It's like you got to do more, man. I guess you don't have to, but you should. Like, it helps people. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like if you're gonna, I don't know. I've just been burned before by dudes in bands, you know, like fake sincerity. Like you're just like, oh man, like does the same thing to everybody. Like not that I deserve. Like if you're a band, by definition, your job is to come, rip a show, and leave. You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to be a human. You don't.
Yeah, you don't.
Just get to be on stage. That's it.
Yeah, but for me, that's so much a part of what we do. Like that's part of what I get from doing this is being able to, like, whenever this ends, I can look back and know that I've met.
You showed up. Like you actually showed up for people.
I showed up in a lot of different ways, you know? And so, yeah, I like talking to people for real. And I think that is what sort of gives people that sort of boost, not like a high five, like, all right, catch you next time. It's more of just like if I talk to people like how we're talking now, like imagine you're going to see your favorite band and then like the guitarist sort of just breaks down that wall.
That's yeah.
It's just like that whole allure, the whole hour of playing, like it's gone. Now it's just you and I. I'm just asking you about your shoes. I'm just like, bro, where'd you cop those? Like, so like, anyways, like, is there food around here? What's up? Like, just as soon as you like, just get rid of that whole like, all of that. It's dead. We don't need any of that. Like ego's a killer. It's dead. Don't need it. None of us have it. It's not. It doesn't do anything, especially for what we're doing. It completely destroys the community aspect of what we're trying to do. Like, how do you preach community when you're not, when you don't even have a heart for community, you know? Like, so it's like, dude, if I'm going to talk to these people, dude, venues kick us out because I'm just there by like the times of, I'm telling you, like there's so many people out there who can attest to this. Like we stay until they turn the lights off at the venue. Like I'm talking to people because I'm not just like pushing them away. I'm talking, man. Like I want to talk. And I feel like that's what gives people that kind of like, like maybe I am a little bit more than, you know, it's like, yeah, cause you are, man. Like there's nothing different between you and that person on stage besides that hour they played a show. And especially our show, it relies so much on the crowd. It's like, dude, this is like, we're the same, man. So let's just talk like we're the same.
Dude, there's a guy I heard on a podcast named Jared. I think his name is Jared McKenna, and he's an Australian guy, but he works with like civil rights. I think he gets arrested all the time and stuff like that. He, one of the things he said that I think is interesting, because you said a phrase a minute ago, you know, you can't build community, you know, like with this like kind of hierarchy in place. And it's like, especially in the performer zone or fame or the appearance of whatever, it's difficult to build a connected community if you're going to model supremacy or whatever that is, right? So then I think about it, and I think the phrase that he used in the podcast was Jesus, like the following Jesus, or the way of the Lamb. I can't remember what he called it, but he said Jesus always invites us into a different form of power. And I think there's like a lot of power struggles. There's a lot of power dynamics that are happening on the planet. And I think following the Lamb is a different kind of power dynamic than what people are used to.
Absolutely.
Humility or connection or love over the jockeying of who's in front. And so I like that on some level. What's in your heart, it sounds like, is if we're going to build a community that's going to help people get through something, they need to know that they're actually connected and they're coming along for the ride. And
right.
I think that's good, man. That sounds like cause, which is cool. Man, that's crazy. That's cool.
I'm trying. Like, I don't, you know, like it just is what feels right to me. Like aside from any political anything, like just think about like.
And you could have kids that would come up and be like, everything you believe in, like they could be like, yo, I grew up in this, like, I don't know, Jesse, right, from Stick to Your Guns, you know, he would say he grew up in the rigid and sort of the fascist sort of thing of Christianity. It represents not anything free, right? And so you got kids that come up, they're like, yeah, man, I grew up in this Christian home, and like I heard you guys, and like I don't care about any of that anymore. And you're like, whoa, at least we're expanding your mind. I guess you're thinking for yourself. Like, so
Yeah.
whether it's like in the way I'd want or in the way I wouldn't want, what you're saying is at least you're facilitating, you're broadening people's mind or something. The band is attempting to get people to get a bigger.
I think there's different victories in this thing. I think a victory looks different for almost every interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I think a victory isn't necessarily even just, I don't know, hoping someone walks out, hoping a racist walks out not racist, you know.
Oh yeah.
I think a victory sometimes is just having, because this happens more times than not, is I'll be in a group of 10 people after a show talking about a subject that we all don't agree on, but then it's over and we're all laughing and we all go home. That's a victory.
Yo, that at least the dialogue happened and no
one's hurt.
Yeah, no one's hurt. We disagreed. Yay.
And then we went home. Like that's a victory, because that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on the internet. Think about it.
That's true. It doesn't happen. Not real.
It can't in a lot of ways happen at school or at work, because sometimes there's a lot of rules that are like working in that place I worked at before. You couldn't talk about politics. You can't do that in the office, because you cannot spark an issue in a place where we need to work to keep this machine moving. It's not worth it. This girl got
yeah. You're gonna ruin what we're doing. It's not about that here. It's
not
off
about
limits here. Totally.
Not about that. So now you have this place, you have a show, this show, like whatever, and we all had a conversation, and we didn't end up agreeing.
At all.
We were talking about gun control. We just didn't all end up on the same situation, but we were like, all right, hey, that was whatever. Hey, I'm glad I'll see you guys next time. Like, it was fine. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
And that to me is a win. When like that dude that I was telling you, who was just like, yeah, man, like I had this belief, and then whatever, I came to your show and I opened my eyes and I talked to them. That's also a win. A win is, it just looks a lot of different ways, man. A win is like a girl coming up to me and saying like, this is the first time I felt comfortable at a heavy music show, because Jason was like, look, we're not here with that like misogyny, like macho bullshit, so keep your hands off women and like really respect women here. Like, that's a win. Like, it looks different. So I think like as far as like the shows go, I'm just like, man, like you can't always knock it out the park, and there's always going to be someone who like comes up and it's just like dude, people interrupt our show, and like it gets bad sometimes, but like it's all in how you sort of handle it too, you know. Like, you can't be like, it's kind of like in school. Like, I don't know if like anyone's like if you're a bull, if you have to deal with bullies in school, if I ever have a kid, man, like the first thing I'm gonna try and tell my kid is you gotta learn how to handle like people who like pick on you. As far as like just words, physical violence different, but words, it's like, dude, if it's funny, it just is funny.
Yeah.
That was my thing. As soon as I learned how to laugh at myself and like not take myself so seriously, and like understand like the mentality of words and why people say what they say and like what this is, life was so much easier, and people stopped messing with me. It's like, dude, if someone comes up to me at a show and is angry and I'm not angry, what is me getting angry? I'm also just at a point where I just don't, there's almost nothing you could say to me that could just get me so worked up.
Do you feel like it's because you're putting yourself out there so often? Do you feel like it's because you're creating that in like a muscle memory of like, this is a discussion, we're talking, I don't actually need to care? I mean, a lot of people it's almost like being in a fight. Like, if you don't get in a fight, you're super scared of fights. If you fight a lot, which is not, but I mean, if you get used to fighting, you're like, that dude's like pissed, I guess. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I just wonder, like, you've also been sort of upping your like muscle strength to it. Like, you've probably been disagreed with more than most people in the last year.
That's true. But I think too, but I mean, even in the Chariot, people hated what we stood for, you know? So like, but I think too, like for me, I just know how corny you look if you get angry. It just doesn't work. It's like, especially for like someone like me with like quote unquote like a leftist snowflake, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if I get angry, I look stupid, you look corny. So it's just like people used to, I never get negative comments anymore because I just will just roast you. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like I'm not the guy to get mad at words. So like when people like I'm if you like and I get it, like it sounds almost like a place of privilege because it's triggering for some people certain words and certain things because it's not just words, it reflects a real life struggle.
Yeah.
So it's more than just like, so I can sit here and be like, oh, words don't hurt me, but it's like, well, words hurt some people.
The words are like the guy behind the guy. It's like that's about something.
Exactly.
That word's neighborhood is not good. We don't like
Exactly. So
sure.
I get it. I don't mean to sound insensitive. What I'm trying to say is I had to learn a long time ago, well before this band, what works and what doesn't work. Arguing with people on the internet about anything doesn't work. If someone's angry with me in a real life with just words, it's like but I also have a different foundation, I think, than a lot of people, man. How I was raised, plus my faith, plus like who I know I am. It's like, dude, I just can't be, you know what I mean? I'm just not that guy. You're not gonna get a rise out of me like that unless you're like threatening. And that's a whole nother thing. But as far as just like, you snowflake, like people will like scream at us from the crowd and it's like, okay, anyways, like you're mad anyways, next song. Like I'm just not, it's like you can't take it seriously. You just sound like you look like a cornball. You look as corny as a person yelling at you. It's like, dude, we can talk if you want. You want to talk? You don't want to talk? Okay, we're gonna keep playing anyway.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not the singer. Like Jason handles it better than I do because I would just be like, shut up, okay. Like I'm just not like, I can't be bothered. But Jason's very good at sort of like,
that's funny,
speaking for real.
Gosh. Well, I think, okay, so I looked up this quote. I know that this is from Desmond Tutu. It says, our maturity will be judged by how well we're able to agree to disagree and yet continue to love one another, to care for one another, and cherish one another, seek the greater good of the other. So I feel like if you're in a mature spot, if you're able to respectfully disagree, I think the idea of like, I just silence everyone I don't agree with, it's like, it's not a really healthy way to raise humans. Yeah. And it's not a healthy way to raise your brain.
Yeah.
That, you just create the very thing we're trying to work. I guess like, what is it? You can't fight you gotta be able to fight the sickness without getting the disease. And so that makes sense. Well, here's what I'm thinking, because I just don't even know. I just was wondering okay. So if people want to follow you, if they want to like follow the band, where do people find you? How do people support you? How do they say what's up?
Well, yeah, the band's Instagram is Fever333 at Fever333. That's the same for Twitter at Fever333. Not The Fever, because we threatened to get sued by another band called The Fever. So we're no longer that. We're just Fever333. My Instagram is at ST33VIS, and this was before The Fever. So those threes were in there before.
I know this. I know this about you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what about this though? So for the Rev kids, like our whole community of just, our people that are kind of all around, what's something that like the Rev kids can be believing for you?
Believing.
If we were gonna have faith for you this year, what's something we could, if it was a target, if our prayers could be like arrows that hit a target for you, what can we be praying for? What can we be believing for you?
I want to separate myself as much as I can from the rat race, from the musical rat race. If I can just focus on the 30 minutes to an hour that I'm performing, and that be my musical, and that be the only part of this music world that I invest any feelings in and anything in, that's what I want. And I want to focus on being a better man. that's what I want. I want my focus to be on just being a better me and less being caught up in the like the everything else that comes with this privilege and this dream that is.
That's cool.
I know I'm sure we're wrapping up soon, but I have to say, the hardest part about all of this is, we all want unity. We all want to be able to be in a room with people who think different than us and believe different than us, and be able to talk and not silence out the other side. But it's so difficult because these differences are life and death for the other side in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So to remain calm is asking a lot. To speak cordially is asking a lot, when the other side's ideology, though they may not see it, it seeks your destruction. And that's where I am hitting a wall, and I haven't quite figured out how to translate that to shows and after shows, because listening to someone speak about their side isn't the same as hearing them.
Yeah.
If you hear them, you might hear something that is structurally there to tear down you or your people. So it's just like, yeah, we can listen and we can talk and we can not agree and we can walk away and have our separate ways and like laugh and whatever. But at the end of the day, some of these things that we are disagreeing on, a lot of these things mean life or death for someone in some way.
That's true.
So that's why it's so difficult to just be like, let's just get, it's like I want anyone hearing this to understand that if that's where you are, know that this is a process. It's not going to start with one conversation. Like, that's a great start, but it's not going to end there.
Yeah. It's way bigger than I talked to one person. Like, it's a long process.
It's a long process of I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know the answer. I don't know the like.
Wow.
I don't know the complete final outcome of all this, because we're never all gonna believe the same. But it's more than just believing; it's understanding what the beliefs mean at their core. And I think some of the hope is, I think core beliefs. I think some people may not understand what their beliefs mean for other people at the core.
Wow.
I think that's where some things get sort of like, where there's a disconnect with some people. It's like, oh, I don't hate anyone. I just feel like this. It's like, totally. And I believe you don't hate anyone, but you have to understand that this, and this was written. This to suppress this, and this kind of person, and that comes with your belief. I'm not saying you hate anyone. I'm just saying like this. And I feel like those are the conversations that are going to make ground, but in order to get there, sometimes you got to have more than one conversation. And it's easier said than done, man, because we're all out here in the same boat. We're all tired, man. We're all just like, it's easy to throw your hands up and just be like, I don't have it anymore for this side, or I don't have it anymore for this side. But it's like, dude, like this is a battle for empathy. Nothing. It's like the word, like that's the word, is empathy. It's like we are not going anywhere if we don't have an empathetic heart for the other side. And I mean, it's easy to say, it's hard to do, but that's how we make an ultimate change. And I mean, we're like, it's not like we're supposed to have earth like heaven. That's how it's supposed to be. And if that's what it is, that means it's possible. Like that's the ultimate goal, is to emulate heaven here on earth. And I feel like you can't do that without empathy.
It's fact.
You can't. So that's what I want people to just try to marinate on. That's what I'm working on myself, you know. So yeah.
I love it. So powerful. The battle for empathy. Yeah. That's powerful, bro. That's so beautiful. Okay. Gosh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to say prayer words for you before your tour, and then we'll be done. So, God, thank you so much for Stevis. Thank you so much for the fever. Thank you just for all the people that come to the shows. I really pray, God, that you would, yeah, Jesus, like you'd meet him in the hallway, like you'd meet him, like and give him an encounter for this like small handful of shows that he's about to go on that will help carry him. Like you say, happy is the person whose heart is on the journey. You take them from strength to strength to strength. And so I just pray that you would take him from strength that he has now into another level of strength that he doesn't know yet. I really pray you protect all the dudes, like their physical safety. I pray that you would encounter everyone there with like supernatural love at the shows, and that there'd be grace for people to talk and share and expand their minds, God. And I just love my brother, and I just appreciate him so much. And so God, just give him like a special gift from heaven in this short season of his life. Thank you for the place that he's from. Thank you for the city that he's from. Thank you for the people that he's from. And God, just bless them. But I just thank you so much for his time, God. I just pray that you'd be so good to him, that he would just be blown away by your presence on this on this trip and just in his own life. So thank you so much, God. I just ask for your total favor over his life in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
You're my brother. You're my friend. I love you so much. Have such a good tour, bro. Thank you for just sharing life with me, man. I really appreciate it.
I told you earlier, I'll say it again on record. This is the greatest excuse to just talk to you for an hour. I can talk to you about anything. I talk to you at any point. I love it. It doesn't happen enough. I'm still kicking myself for missing that last Sleeping Giant show. You're one of my favorite people.
It was fine.
It was awesome. I looked at videos. I was like, just like red with fury that people were watching even more. It's like, oh my God, I would run on everyone there if I was there right now. But
love it.
It's okay.
Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna text you soon. When are you back from Asia?
I get back February 9th.
Okay. All right, I'll hit you up when you're back in the country. I love you a lot. Thank you for taking time.
I love you too, man.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bro. See you.
Bye.